Hello everybody and welcome to day 17 of 30 Days of Godzilla. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Godzilla vs. Biollante. And I gotta be honest here, this one is probably my least favorite of the second series. I don't know why, I just don't have as many feelings for this one as I do for some of the other ones. Okay, this one is a little tough to explain, but I will do my best. The movie begins with a recap showcasing what happened in the last movie. I like how they actually follow up on the destruction for once. Anyway, scientists are searching through the remnants of a destroyed Tokyo looking for some of Godzilla's tissue samples. There's also this group of US soldiers who work for a company called Bioware that are doing the exact same thing. So a big gun battle ensues, and the US thinks they've won, but then there's this Ceraedian agent guy who comes in, he's just like, surprise motherfuckers, just guns them down, takes the G-cells, and goes away smiling. Yeah, there's basically this three-way battle that goes on throughout the movie over Godzilla's G-cells, and it adds a little bit more tension to the movie. Eventually, the scientist named Shiragami is ready to do research for the G-cells, and before he can research the cells, terrorists destroy his lab and it ends up killing his daughter in the process. Then the movie jumps ahead 5 years later, where Shiragami has now given up studying G-cells and has since begun to study the psychic energy involved in plants. Now this is where we become introduced to the character of Miki Saigusa and the whole psychic angles in this series. Now the character of Miki Saigusa is the only character to appear in every entry in the second series. She's a psychic who reprises her role in each movie and finishes off with Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Anyways, the Shiragami guy gets hired once again to study G-cells, even though he had already given it up, and I honestly don't have much of a clue why he fully agrees to come back. I guess to make plants immortal because he fuses Godzilla's cells with the plant, and he also adds some of his daughter's cells in there too. This guy is starting to sound a lot like Poison Ivy to me. So these people have him study the cells because they want to create this anti-nuclear energy bacteria in order to use it to clear up pollution and nuclear materials and as a possible weapon against Godzilla. But one night, after fusing the plant cells with that, two groups of thieves show up to steal his research. During their break-in, the thieves are attacked by a new monster called Biollante. Now, Biollante in a way is like Godzilla's genetic sister because they originated from the same cells. Anyways, Biollante appears the next morning in the form of a giant flower, and Shiragami confesses what he did, and everyone's reaction is kinda underwhelming to this. I felt like they should have given a much more pissed off reaction, like, Shiragami, what the hell have you done? They just are sort of like brushing it off. But then again, this is Japan. At this point, they're used to giant monsters. It's like second nature to them now. Also, the company Bioware sends an anonymous letter claiming that if they don't get the anti-nuclear energy bacteria, that they will release Godzilla from Mount Mihara. But the way the movie plays out, I thought they were still in the process of researching. I had no idea they were actually finished making the stuff. I mean, they don't really clarify it. It's just like, oh hey, the stuff's done. When the hell did this happen? Anyways, they go to make the exchange, but the Ceraedian agent interrupts it, kills the Bioware agents, and steals the weapon. And the people who tried to make the exchange try to stop the countdown, but they fail to do so, and Godzilla gets released from his volcanic prison. As usual, Godzilla makes a pretty badass entrance, emerging from the volcano with all sorts of awesome explosions going on behind him, like. So with Godzilla unleashed, no pun intended for the video game, Biollante calls out to Godzilla, and this lures him to shore. Realizing that Godzilla is headed this way, Japan unleashes the Super X-2. It's far more powerful than the original Super X, it has better armor, it's more durable, and it's remote controlled so it won't danger everybody involved. Sometimes the standard tanks and missiles and planes and that can get kind of boring, so I always enjoy when they create these super weapons. It's not going to do much against Godzilla, but it's a little bit fresher. In their first battle, the Super X-2 is able to put up a pretty good battle against Godzilla, but as always, Godzilla is just too powerful, so they have to leave and do some repairs. The battle is actually pretty entertaining, but I feel like the music doesn't really fit it. It's far too whimsical. So Godzilla finally confronts Biollante and they have their first battle. The battle actually is pretty solid. I mean, Biollante spits this acid on Godzilla's face, and then Godzilla is just far too powerful, so he just uses atomic breath like, bitch, get out of here, blasts her, she burns to a crisp, and her cells float up into space. After their first encounter, Godzilla shows up in Osaka and has another battle with the Super X2. There are a lot of buildings that blow up here, which is actually pretty cool. I find it kind of ironic that Godzilla attacks Osaka here. Was it by coincidence that he attacks the same city as he did in the original Showa series? You know, the second entry of each series, he attacks Osaka. Either they did that by intention or it's just some strange coincidence that I'm thinking about. I don't know, my words seem kind of jumbled up right now and I'm just thinking things. So the Super X-2 pins Godzilla between a bunch of buildings but gets destroyed. Soldiers that are in the buildings fire missiles at Godzilla that are filled with this anti-nuclear bacteria. They're successful, but it ends up killing one of the soldiers. Now remember that when I get to talking about Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. I'm going to bring it up, so remember that. After a considerable amount of time after being in his system, the bacteria doesn't seem to be working that well, and they attribute this to Godzilla's temperature being too low because bacteria grow slower in colder temperatures. So they decide to lure Godzilla into some artificial lightning energy field that I guess they were working on, but they just now thought to use it. I know, how convenient, right? They lure Godzilla into that field, and it seems like it isn't working. Then out of nowhere, Biollante shows up again. She looks like she has a crocodile mouth, and it's a very impressive and unique design. So when I was on the DVD looking through the menus, I came across the special features, and I looked on how they were talking about the design of Biollante and trying to move that thing around. Now, moving this thing around was a bitch. And I applaud these people. I mean, that thing required a whole hell of a lot of work to get that thing moving in. It looks pretty great in the film. So, credit to you guys. The two monsters have their final battle, and in it Godzilla just keeps blasting the hell out of Biollante, and she just keeps coming. There's even one part where she stabs Godzilla, and it goes right through his fucking hand, and at one point she tries to swallow him. It's pretty fucking brutal, if you ask me. The ending to the battle I would say is pretty weak though. Godzilla can't continue the fight due to the bacteria finally taking effect, so he just sort of walks away and passes out in the ocean, and then Biollante just sort of dissolves into space. Kind of weak if you ask me. When Biollante's cells drift into space, Shirogami sees the image of his daughter, and it all seems like a happy ending, and then the movie throws us a curveball, and that serrating asshole Asian comes back again, and then for no reason at all, he just shoots Shirogami. He has no reason to. I mean, thanks to this guy, he got all this, new research and stuff for his whatever project. He just, out of nowhere, just shoots him. What a dick. When I first saw this, I was like, holy shit, that caught me off guard. But then I began to think, why is the guy shooting him? Is he having a bad day? Is he just pissed off? Was the doctor not going to do research for him or something? They don't make it really clear in the movie. I guess he just felt like it. That's it. The guy just felt like it. He was just like, well, fuck. The cells are pretty much gone. This guy is just not going to do research anymore on this. So you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm going to shoot him. And that's it. After Shirogami is shot and killed, one of the characters goes after the agent, and then during their mini-battle, the agent steps on that artificial lightning machine and just disintegrates. It's honestly one of the funniest things, because he just steps on it. Some guy's pushes the button and he just goes, just vanishes. He just completely vanishes. No, nothing. He's just like a, boop, wipe him from the movie. Finally, Godzilla wakes up again, and instead of going back to fight, he's like, fuck this, I quit. I'm going home. I've had enough of you assholes. Then the movie ends with him leaving, and we get a shot of Biollante in space as a giant rose just orbits the Earth, and that's it. So there you go. There's Godzilla vs. Biollante for you. Although I think it's pretty original and the most clever Godzilla movie in a long time, I just don't have that many good feelings for it. This movie doesn't really give me a great vibe like some of the other Godzilla movies. It's just still my least favorite of the second series. It's not terrible, but it's not that great either. The monster battles are pretty cool, but they're far too short. Plus it's kind of tough to follow unless you were like me and literally wrote down notes trying to get the details of what was happening. It's a decent entry in the series, just not my favorite. Okay, tomorrow we're going to kick it into high gear because we're about to enter the 1990s. My favorite time for Godzilla movies. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.